All right, we're live, and I'm here with Toolio from the band Borderwars. Just want to get his
That's
take on
right,
it. How we doing, Toolio?
dude. Fucking awesome, man. Thanks for having me on here.
Not a problem. And just wanted to ask a few questions. Been trying to find more bands to talk to about some of the things we're in MetalGate, what we're doing, and it's not like Inquisition or anything like that. Just want to get like a pulse on
Sure,
kind of
man.
kind of the underground here.
Let's have
So,
it.
so my first question would be: when creating music, are you inspired to challenge your audience, or to look inward rather than tapping their foot to a cool beat?
Wow, that's a pretty good question, man. Well, me and Vince, we're kind of the primary songwriters, and if we write for ourselves, like first and foremost, we kind of write music to speed to drink to fuck to have a good time, but that has like a certain power behind it. And if we like it, and if we can achieve that, we're happy to share it with whoever wants to listen to it for free. We don't charge for our music. We're going to play music, we're going to record music, and we're going to write music anyway. So why not share it? So at the moment, it's all out there for free. We don't really have a recipe for the fans. I think they kind of like what we've been doing so far amongst ourselves.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's probably a better approach. Make it for yourself what you would like, and it'll translate to other people, right?
Yeah, if not, you can see right fucking through that shit, man, and it doesn't last.
It doesn't. You're right. Even more established bands, I think they fall into that. Like, say some other band comes up and they become the new guys on the block, and the older guys
Yeah,
will have
yeah.
to kind of adjust their game, and their old school fans see right through it.
And we all know what happens to those fucking weak ass trends, man.
Oh yeah, yeah, they go down. I mean, they're cool for like a month.
Yeah, hey, and I've been a victim to that too, man. I've rocked to some fucking lame ass music for a week or two, and then look back and go, what just happened? What was I thinking?
Right. Right. I mean, it's kind of cool to me, like sometimes just to turn your brain off and put on something, just to kick back. But for the most part, I want something I can really wrestle with, something that challenges me.
That's hard to find, man. Like, how many times have you listened to your favorite albums, like the Metallicas and Panteras and the Slayers and whatever, and you hear like you've heard that song a million fucking times, and then you hear that one note that you never heard before, and you just go, ah, it just changes like your world.
Sure. Yeah.
And I love doing that. It's hard to kind of like introduce into songwriting, and most of the time it's unintentional. But it's kind of a way of rediscovering new old music, right?
Sure. Yeah. Hard to find. I look for new bands that kind of challenge me in the same way. It's really fucking hard to.
Yeah, new bands, you know, kind of try to find that recipe that has been done over and over before. There's a lot of bands out there, man. There's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of bands that really put forth a lot of effort advertising themselves. And, more power to them, but there isn't really a lot of substance to support with the music.
Yeah. Well, and it's a tough situation. It's all been done before and better.
Yeah, and like we're not reinventing the wheel. We all like the chugga down pick and just badass riffs and stuff like that. But fuck, I lost my train of thought.
No, that's cool, man. No, I get what you're saying. But next question was, what inspired you to start listening to metal in the first place?
Holy smokes!
So yeah, dig back in the way back machine in your brain there.
Yeah, I remember the first like super heavy song, and it was me and my school buddy. We must have been, I don't know, 12, 13, or I don't know, when I was just a teenager. we stole his mom's convertible, like Cavalier. And he's all, dude, you got to listen to this thing. He had like this tape, and he made me listen to Metallica's One. Holy fuck. Changed my life instantly. Bam. Like, I didn't know like that much power could like emit from the speaker and like just empower like the listener, you know? And that's kind of what we try to do, man, is to provide that feeling to others, because it's really strong, man, and it can really give you a positive energy, a positive direction in certain things. When you're happy, sad, mad, pissed off, you know, music is an emotion, right?
Yeah.
And heavy music just kind of has this ingredient that throttles us, you know, that gives us a lot of energy, and we try to put that into our music. So yeah, my first kind of like taste was that Injustice for All album. It was just like, what the fuck is this beautiful music, man?
Yeah, it's not rock and roll. It's something a step above.
It had more meat to it, you know. And then there was you know, the Slayers, South of Heaven, and then Pantera came along. Holy shit, man!
Yeah,
and it still knocks me on my ass, man.
You know,
going to work in traffic, fucking hostile on 12, you know. Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta crank up the metal to not get out of your car and beat the shit out of somebody.
Yeah, man. But you know, it's all about that energy. You know, if you can receive that energy and it just makes you feel good, you know, that's what heavy music does to me, you know, and my bandmates.
All right, so that's kind of like my third question is, what inspired you to start creating metal? So I think you kind of answered that.
I think none of us are like formally trained in music. We're all self-taught, and it took us a while to kind of get the courage to play with other musicians in a live situation, because playing in the corner of your room like to a CD is a world different than playing in a live atmosphere. But we ended up trying it. You got to start somewhere, right? And then just having good times and good experiences kind of propelled us to keep doing it. And we all had projects of our own when we were starting out, and you know, the planets kind of aligned with Borderwars, and we've been writing music for a long time, and it was fucking badass, man. So as long as we're having a good time and have that power in the music, we'll keep doing it, man.
Just an aside question, how long have you guys been doing this?
Good question. I don't know. Probably early 2000s, something like that.
Okay.
4-ish, 3, I don't know.
Right on. Just just an aside there. But into the next question, there seems, and this was a kind of an observation by some friends of mine, that there seems to be a lot of Pantera influence in some of your songs. Were they indeed like a really big influence on you guys, or did it just so happen to sound kind of in the same vein?
You know, I don't know how to write music. You know, like, again, we're all self-taught. So I think when we play heavy music, it just kind of comes out. And in no way, shape, or form are we trying to mimic any of our favorite bands. I think what you listen to and what you pay attention to and what you kind of are taught from comes out a certain way.
Sure.
Pantera, you know, I've only learned a few songs on the guitar of Pantera because Dimebag's just an impossible fucking guitarist to mimic, you know. And it's almost like you don't want to like fuck his songs up, you know, like trying to mimic him. You know, same with any other band. But if it sounds like a certain band or a particular artist or something, it's kind of by accident, you know, and it's also kind of by, you know, there was a seed planted a very long time ago on how to play this type of music. I mean, they were our teachers, right?
Sure.
So Megadeth, you know, a lot of bands from AC/DC to classical music, you know, there's a lot of different ingredients that make what music we produce.
For me personally, I heard a lot more than Pantera. I heard like I was hearing things from all different directions. And
Oh, really? Like what?
well, I heard the thrash in there, even some like little bit of like groovy punk kind of stuff. I don't know. Like it was just this beautiful mix mash of metal all in one churning band. You know, I actually appreciate what you guys are doing, and it might be by accident, but it comes out really well for me, for my personal taste.
Yeah, the thrash and punk, like my previous band was just like absolute fucking thrash. It was really like a metalized punk band. So I really like the energy of punk, but I really like the technical aspect of like heavy metal. And so does Vince, and so does Nate, and so does Leon. You know, so we kind of try and install that power into our type of music, and it's fun to do. You know, so if you hear punk, yeah, fuck yeah, we're all fucking asshole punkers.
I hear you, man. Yeah, for me personally, I love it. You know, I think there's a lot of bands who are trying to please everyone though, and it just doesn't work. Just like you said earlier, play what you want to play, and your audience will come from that.
You'll be good at it, and you know, people. It's easy to see right through people. Any album today, you know, like in the pop hits, you know, you have the voice pitch correct and all that crap, and even like half the metal albums are just fucking math metal, you know. And it's hard to, although it sounds sonically, it sounds good and perfect and like, you know, just monstrous, which I appreciate. But there, it kind of takes away from like the practicality of suffering in a studio environment and trying to get that riff just right or that drum beat or something like that. So I don't know, man. Fucking, it's all good. However you want to go about it.
Yeah, just hopefully you do it well, right? I mean,
yeah, I guess that's the key. Like, if you can play your fucking instrument, that's kind of like rule number one.
yeah, exactly. So do you create? Like, I guess I kind of asked earlier. When you create this music, are you trying to challenge yourself, maybe to explore controversial topics like a nationalistic kind of point of view, or to explore racism or other social issues that? Or do you just more along the lines of make something that's powerful despite all that shit?
You know, Vince, the singer, guitar player, he kind of he's better at putting music together and kind of molding it into a song and a theme of an album than I am. And really, what sparks the topics of our songs is, what does the riff like provide? You know, so it all starts off with a riff, number one, you know, and that's what we build the songs out of. You know, if you have a strong riff, you know, usually when he writes something and we're sharing, bouncing ideas back and forth, like, you know, you instantly kind of think of something, or it puts you in a place where it gives you a certain emotion. So then we kind of write songs based on that emotion, you know.
Okay.
But I don't know. We're not trying to write songs just to piss people off. You know, we try to write music and especially lyrics with substance, you know, that people can relate to, you know, in some way, shape, or form. And that's fucking hard to do, man. It's hard to kind of like put those emotions into words, you know, into something that's like really strong that you want to hear again and again.
Sure. There's a friend of mine. He kind of explains it like, you know, when you create the riff or maybe a guitar solo or anything, everything has to make logical, like a logical progression. Everything has to be tied together. Otherwise, it's just random garbage and very difficult to pull that off. That's what makes it the art form that it is.
Yeah, man, and I have lots of songs that are garbage.
I think you have to have that though. Like, you know, like it's
practice, and there's a lot of like banging your head against the walls. Like, what can I do with this shit, man? You know,
why is it not working? You know,
I know it like makes sense in my head. It just doesn't, like, sonically. You know, it's frustrating, but you know, it's little by little over time. You know, you add something, you take something away, and you know, eventually something comes out, and you say, okay, here it is, done.
So, I mean, going on to the next question, we kind of see in the news sometimes like people will take someone's words out of context. Like a good example would be like comedians. They'll tell a joke, and out of reference and out of context, someone will put that on a news site and take it out of context and be all offended. And so, like for you guys, if someone did that to one of your songs and said this part's just unacceptable, and they demanded apologies and stuff from you, what would be your response to something like that?
First, I don't think that would ever happen to a little band like Borderwars.
Okay.
Second, if you don't like it, fuck off.
Yes.
I'm not grabbing you by the throat, putting you in front of a speaker, and pushing play, right?
Yes.
Just don't listen to it. Just turn the other way, dude.
I love that answer.
You spend so much fucking energy like nitpicking at other people's bullshit, fuck off.
Yeah. And that's kind of why MetalGate is here. Like we noticed this nitpicking shit, which they're free to do, but we're free to call bullshit on it too.
Sure. Yeah. If it's something blatant, like I don't know, what example XYZ, and band, I guess if they feel like it, should have some responsibility behind what they're saying. If it's directed and super intended towards someone or something or a subject, if they put that much energy into trying to say something like that, then
yeah, I mean, it's obviously going to spark a conversation. Yeah.
Why not ask the question and why not answer back with a response? But
Sure.
I don't really think Borderwars is in a position to reply to anything like that. And if people ask, I'll give them a fucking answer. And if they don't like it, go somewhere else.
Fuck them. Yep. So like PC culture, like political correctness, does that even come into your mind when you're making music, or is it just something that you're not even worried about?
Well, I don't think any of us, we're all mature, and we respect each other, we respect other people. So we don't really write in terms of trying to degrade other people or other types of communities, although we do write about kind of heavier topics that have some substance. We don't try and intentionally like say, hey, fuck you because you're like this, So I don't know, man. I don't think that's a problem for us.
Yeah. And I would hope that most bands would not even really think about, like, just make what you want to make. And if it offends somebody, you're doing something right, in my opinion. Right?
Well, just the sheer sound, metal's really difficult to listen to, man. Even though musicians like are really talented and stuff like that and can record and share their music and stuff, it's not something you can show your boss and say, hey, I'm a musician, listen to this fucking thrash song I just wrote, So like heavy music is really hard to listen to, so it takes a certain type of person to be able to stop and listen to like that aggressive like sound and then kind of really listen to what's going on musically or lyrically or groove wise or whatever. So most people that listen to heavy music, that's fine, man.
Yeah, they get it. Might rub some other people the wrong way, and to me, that's kind of the essence of like to meet that audience that's going to be like, wait, what the fuck did you just say?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, bring it on, whatever. And again, I kind of like what I said before. If you don't like it, fuck off. If you want to argue about it, let's argue.
Hell yeah, I agree with that. How much faith do you put into heavy metal media? Like we got metal sites and all that. And do you have like a favorite website?
Well, MetalGate is on top of my list.
I don't know if we're quite media yet, but
it's like any other form of art, I suppose. Like I invest a lot of time in my band and my music. Like you invest a lot of time in your show, and other media outlets invest a lot of time in what they do. And eventually it grows into something bigger. And it's how much do you want to water that thing, right? So I think it's great. Do I have a favorite? I'm kind of a media hermit, you know? So I think it's all good if you can get your point across somehow in some way.
Sure. And I think the reason for that question, before MetalGate, there was something called Gamergate, and the whole thing was journalistic ethics. So yeah, we kind of watch out for, you know, if journalist A has a buddy in the scene and they don't disclose that, and they're giving favorable coverage to all their buddies and stuff like that, we kind of call that kind of shit out. Like, wait a second, there's a bunch of other bands in line here. Why are you ignoring them over this guy? That's just an example.
You got to put people in check sometimes, don't you?
Yeah, it's like kind of a consumer watchdog kind of thing we're doing. And it's not a huge problem, but, you know, it's enough to where we were like, okay, we're just going to stand here and we're not going to move. You know.
More power to you, brother.
Yeah. Appreciate that, man. And how interested in heavy metal history are you? Like, do you go all the way back to like Deep Purple, like proto metal, Sabbath kind of stuff, or did you just kind of jump in the middle?
No, man. I'm kind of an old fart, so I've been around for a split second. So I kind of started, you know, with the early metal, like South of Heaven, you know, Kill 'Em All, around there, the Exodus stuff. And that naturally kind of opens the doors up to many other music, with the Sabbaths and all that shit. So over time, you pick up, you know, information on other bands and situations and metal cultures and things like that. So yeah, it's not like we're newcomers to this game, man.
It's something funny personally. I just jumped into this recently.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I've had to like really.
What was the album that just laid you on your ass?
Well, it's kind of a mixed thing here, because I've always listened to more aggressive music, but it was more not quite metal. So like Tool, Nine Inch Nails, that kind of aggressive stuff. It's not really metal.
They're both good bands.
Both good bands for what they're doing, but recently for me it'd be like I liked the proto metal stuff, you know, like Black Sabbath, just on the generic level. But going forward, what really knocked me on my ass were some of the black metal bands and the like mid to late '80s death metal. So like Morbid Angels, Dark Throne, that kind of stuff. Really just, whoa, what the fuck is going on here? This is more than music here. There's something really powerful going on here.
Yeah, it's impressive shit, man.
Yeah. And more than just the music, it was what they were actually doing as people was just mind-boggling. Like, god damn, these are intense people. And that's what really got me interested, more than just Watchdog or whatever. It's what turned me into a fan of metal.
Good, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, do you consider yourself a metal purist or elitist?
What the fuck does that mean?
So like, for example, like I liked like a band like Tool. They're really aggressive, but it's not quite metal. There's a line. So on one side it's rock, on the other side it's metal.
I hear you.
You know what I'm saying?
So if you're asking what I listen to a bunch of shit, man. From more Chiba, which is like fucking electronic lounge music, you know, it's good to fuck to.
Right.
To, you know, heavy stuff to, I'm a big fan of blues. I'm learning how to play classical guitar. So I'm a fan of music, but my passion is in heavy music, you know, and that's what I like to portray, and that's what I like to create, you know, because if it can make me drive fast, you know, or have a good time, or, you know, go party with friends, you know, that's the music I want to hear. Not this hip hop shit, not this pop rock crap on the fucking radio, you know. That stuff doesn't apply. You know, it doesn't work for me, you know. So if a purist means I only listen to metal, absolutely not.
Right on. And the reason for that question is it's interesting to me to find out where people's line in the sand is. Some people, it's metal only, and that's it.
No, not me, man. I don't think anybody in my band either.
Right on. And I actually have a level of respect for a more purist attitude because they're the ones who really carry like the history and the culture on their shoulders, right? So a part of me respects it, but another part of me is like, nah, man, I'm gonna listen to my rock and roll too.
Dude, there's some fucking. I'm not a country music listener, but there's some heavier fucking country songs, and they're all pop metal songs on the fucking radio, man.
Right.
Lyrically, musically, more talent, better sound. So some fucking other forms of music can blow the fucking shit out of this new type of music that's coming out now that has absolutely no substance.
Yeah, so, it's like every little genre has its own little underground. Like
exactly. Yeah.
Right? I'd love to expand this idea into that too. Like I might not be a fan of country music, but I would love to see more invested artists push the envelope in that genre or whatever.
Yeah, there should be like a metal country, like a metal blues, a metal classical.
Right. Yeah. 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 Bring it. Push the envelope.
Yeah. Find that talent.
And kind of segues into the next question. What do you think of streaming services like Spotify? Can they, in a way, maybe help those kind of artists get their music out there, or do you think it's more tailored towards the big guys?
Fuck. Everything's tailored towards the big guys, man. Everything, I like things that don't take advantage of people, and if a band like Borderwars can, share music on Spotify or other types of media like that, that means that the artist spectrum is wide enough to allow these other types of artists to share their music. Because in mainstream music, the window is very narrow. There's only, a dozen bands of any genre that really like get heard on a regular basis, excluding like internet radio type stuff where, there's more of a wider music genre. So if a big company like Spotify endorses smaller bands that actually are good, cool. But they usually, are paid off by the big guys,
Yeah, I've heard goods and bad, pros and cons about Spotify. It's interesting that it's not just Spotify, right? Like it's kind of expanding. Like YouTube's starting to do the music thing, and
sure,
there's other avenues developing. I guess I'd like to see someone make something like that that's strictly focused on more underground music.
That's what you're here for, man. You talk about it, you listen to it, and you share like this type of movement. So
yeah, that would be really cool to see that.
We need more people like you.
We're trying. It's slowly building, and I'd rather it slowly build and get quality rather than quantity. So we'll just take our time and go along the path we need to go.
Cool.
And should metalheads be so strict when considering what metal is and is not, or do you think it should be more whatever you feel?
Fuck, man. I'm definitely an open-minded person, so I like at least to give a chance to a bunch of different shit. There's really no point in being really linear towards one particular thing. Like this type of music is kind of a drug, right? You listen to something you really like, and you want to hear it and hear it and hear it. You want more and more and more. So, fuck yeah, listen to it as much as possible as you want. But eventually, that goose is going to stop laying that golden egg, and you're going to go, okay, I need something a little bit new. So you can move on to the next band or the next few bands or whatever. There's nothing wrong to shift a genre, or whether it's metal core, I don't know what the fucking name is. Different types of fucking heavy music. Who gives a fuck? Is your friend to your left gonna say, "Oh, you fag"? Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
If it's music that turns you on, that just makes you want to kick ass and feel good, that's what it's about.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. I see a lot of arguments like someone will post a band and people will jump on their ass and they run away. It's like, dude, no, don't run away. Tell them to fuck off right back. That's what this is about.
Yeah.
Is there any desire to go mainstream if you're given an offer, play this kind of music and you'll get tons of money? Is there any desire for that whatsoever for you guys? Or
well, we turned down a $250,000 record deal actually a few years ago.
Wow.
Because there were some conditions that didn't fit. We had to use a certain singer. We had to change our look a little bit. We had to get produced by this one fucking producer. Fuck you, man.
Yeah. I think it's as long as you're enjoying what you're doing and you're still making music for you, it's not selling out. Selling out is what you described, right? Like changing everything and not even playing music you want to play anymore.
Sure. Yeah.
Just for a paycheck.
You may get a paycheck, but really, I'll tell you one thing, man. A paycheck from a record company is just a loan. You got to pay that shit back with album sales, with merchandise, with whatever the fuck. You owe them an arm, a leg, a kidney, and a fucking liver until you pay that back.
I remember hearing a story about the band Dokken, where they got into some huge debt with their record label and nearly went out of business because of it. So band's got to be careful out there for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, a band is easy prey for a company that has money and that can exploit the shit out of you. That's why we're doing things on our own. We spend this past year we've been trying to market Borderwars a little bit, but it's emailing people individually. Hey man, you want to listen to our shit? You like it? Great. If not, sorry to bother you. But the bigger bands and record companies have the resources to do that marketing. But once you start doing that, you kind of lose control on, the type of band you are, really, because someone else is speaking for you,
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. And on that, it's like social justice, and air quotes here, a concept that Borderwars is concerned with. Are you familiar with these social justice minded people? Or is it something that's
for all, man?
Yeah, it's something that's existed in metal pretty much since the beginning, this concept. But
yeah, I guess as a person, I would be like, I don't really have a comment for the band. Because I don't know how to answer that, man, to be honest.
Okay.
Sure, social justice. we like the underdog to win,
The reason I ask, it's not that I disagree with social justice. There's certain people, and it's with any ideology, that they take it to this extreme where it's no longer making any sense. It's just this personal hissy fit kind of thing that happens. And you see this in a lot of different movements.
Yeah.
And we're kind of like looking at these people like, wait a second, what you're saying isn't wrong. It's just your solutions are crazy.
Yeah, they either don't have a solution,
right?
Or they keep beating this fucking dead horse. That is like, okay, I got it.
Yeah, we've already addressed this issue. Please stop bitching. It's just something that's been going on with this whole MetalGate thing. It exists from Gamergate as well, if you're familiar with that. It's kind of the same group of like-minded people, I guess you could say.
Good, man.
Have you ever heard any of their music or whatever? Like some of the bands that these people promote? And the reason I ask is a lot of them that I've heard don't even really qualify as hard rock or anything. It's like they're trying to pass off kind of indie rock as metal. It's just not working.
Oh man,
it's terrible. It's terrible.
That's funny you mention that, man. Like when you hear like something on the radio, or you hear a song that's totally just like, it's almost like soft rock.
Mm-hmm.
Someone says, "Oh, is that heavy metal?" It's like, fuck.
No.
You have no. What fucking rock have you been living in?
Yeah. It's like a lot of people that I've been friends with now because of this, who grew up with heavy metal when they were kids, mention that around 94, 95, around that time is when it started just falling off. And
yeah, I guess you kind of need to know where to look, or need to know like where to lean on. We've all have the bands that we've been listening to forever and ever and ever. And just because a particular point in time it kind of falls off and there's like a weakness there, doesn't mean that you're going to stop listening to your fucking favorite heavy ass fucking bands, is it? Fuck no, man. So it's just kind of like the system kind of cleansing itself and just reshaping, and then it reemerges.
Yeah,
it's like a fucking stock market. It booms and busts.
Yeah. A friend of mine, Jeannie Keebler, she has a band from Canada called Ye Goat Herd Gods. Kind of like a
cool name.
Yeah, it's a cool band too. It really is. It's kind of black metal inspired, I guess you could say. That's what I would describe it as. I don't know what she would say, but she kind of describes it as the phoenix dies and resurrects again, and it's like a necessary thing for metal.
Yeah, I'd like to check them out.
Yeah, they're definitely worth checking out for sure.
You said they were in Canada?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, we recorded a bit in Vancouver. When was it? 05, something like that.
Right on.
Canada was fucking badass, man. I really like that place personally.
I've never been there. I've heard good things. I've heard good and bad, but that's everything.
I saw the good.
Right on. So like with that, with streaming services, these different ideologies clashing, and mainstream, is the metal underground very super important to you? Like it has to exist to keep the ball rolling?
Well, yeah. I mean, it doesn't go to the next level without it, right? I mean, that's the molten lava of this heavy music is that underground power. It's churning under there, right?
Right.
Every once in a while, like something explodes out of that and kind of is more. It gets more attention in the media and stuff like that. So, without starting at in hell in the bottom, it's hard to, or you can't really climb the ladder to.
Yeah, I mean, there was a group of kids that were making metal, and it got a bunch of attention. These kids were like 15, 16 years old, maybe even younger, and they were just thrown right into the mix. And I'm like, oh, those poor bastards. Like no foundation, just now you're popular. I couldn't imagine what that would be like.
Yeah, fuck. Me either. I'll tell you that.
Especially at that age. I mean, fuck's sake. All these executives and fans and all that pressure and shit. God damn, I couldn't imagine that. I mean, I hope they do well, but I just don't see how they can.
Yeah, well, if they have a strong group around them, whether it be their folks or friends or people that are actually give a fuck about them, instead of trying to churn every nickel out of them they can.
Sure,
they'll be fine. But dude, I'll tell you what, man, playing music live and being in that atmosphere, it's tough, dude, because you got a lot of drugs, you got a lot of sex, you got a lot of alcohol, you got a lot of like easy vices around you. And if that catches you at a young age, you're fucked, man.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
easy to get lost in that shit for sure.
Yeah, it's easy to indulge. And once you do that, it's, if you go down that rabbit hole too much, you're stuck forever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely a cautionary tale there. and should metal bands worry about what fans might think? And this goes back to a previous question. Or should you really just focus on what you want? And
well, that's a good question, man. I mean, I remember when I listened to, what was that Machine Head album that was kind of like rap metal? Fucking, I don't even know what the name of it was. I had something to say about that, man. You know, a lot of people did. And as a devoted listener to a particular band, whoever it is, you know, if I want to say something to the band, why can't I say it? I mean, they're publicly putting their shit up on display, right, for people to listen to. It's got to be a two-way street. So if my music's out and I get a lot of flack from people writing me messages or whatever, you know, it's their right. So sure, I think there's a certain responsibility, but it doesn't mean you have to try and please everybody. You know, like you can say, okay, yeah, I understand that you don't like this particular album, or I understand you do really like this album. That's great, you know, but this is, you know, where the band's at the moment. And see ya. You know, that's it.
I agree. I mean, yeah, there's the romantic notion that, you know, I'm writing what I want to, fuck the fans, and you might not even respond to the fans, but it's in there now, right? You got that feedback, and it's in your consciousness now. And I think you're going to take at least a small part of that into the studio next time.
Sure.
You know, it might not be a direct thing, but that feedback, I think, is important. And we might like to say, I'm making music for the music, but, you know, you have a fan base that paid for that album. And I'm not saying you have to bow to their every whim, but there's kind of a balancing act that goes on there. Sure. And I don't think bands should be ashamed of that. I don't know why they would be.
That's a good way of putting it.
All right. Is being offensive necessary for metal bands?
Well, just the term heavy metal kind of leads towards heavy subjects, right? Fucking murder, death, rape, you know, shit like that. So it depends how you think about what your music wants to say. You know, there's a lot of bands that writes these lyrics that really don't mean a fucking thing, that just have these key words, you know, the death and kill and shit like that, that have no substance. And to me, personally, the substance of the music lyrically, if it can say something that's powerful, that's fucking heavy music to me.
Yeah. For me personally, like when I talked about like the black metal and death metal bands, some of it might just sound like ham-fisted, offensive just to be offensive, but some of it every once in a while rattles me. Like, how dare they say that? And then I explore, and yeah, then I look inward, and I'm like, why was I offended by that? What was? And that's to me what metal is. It gives you this. It rattles you, like, why do I feel, and it makes you think about why you're feeling a certain way.
Well, that's good. You just nailed it. It made me think. So one, check. You know, like how many songs or things on popular radio make you think? It doesn't. None of it does.
Right.
It's easy to listen to. It's nice 4/4 timing. It's easy to the ear. You know, nice lyrics. You know, it doesn't make you think about a fucking thing. With heavy music, it inspires, like, fuck, man, like, what's this guy trying to say? Or, you know, what does this mean? Or what is this, you know, what are they trying to portray? You know, so that's what's exciting about heavy music, is that there's a lot of layers in that type of music that you can listen to and interpret on your own and kind of devise your own perception on it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, like some of that stuff, like I said, it sounds kind of like they're just doing it just to do it. But at the same time, it'll hit you in a soft spot and it'll exploit a weakness that you have. And that's, to me, the essence of the art form is, look, you little fucking weasel, you aren't thinking about this, and I'm going to make you think about it. You know,
Sure. Yeah. You know, a
that's
lot of people take the easy way out and kind of like live in this tunnel vision of like, oh, everything's all good as long as I look down, go to work, come back, you know, do this and that. But dude, there's a lot of fucked up shit out there, man.
mm-hmm.
And this type of music talks about a lot of these subjects and topics. And I love it, you know, because I've learned a lot just from listening to this type of music. And a lot of people have.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's the most introspective kind of music there is. At least it's up there. It's up there, definitely. Some of the conversations I have with people about it are just mind-bogglingly awesome conversations, debates and arguments and such. And then you just learn more about yourself, and it's just a great thing about metal.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and all that. So what does the future hold for Border Wars? Do you want to like mix it up? Or are you going to keep going on the same course? What are you guys' plans?
Dude, we are currently writing our next album, and fuck, man, I'm getting chills just talking about it, dude. It's so fucking badass. I think we're going to try and up the ante, like with the musicians in Border Wars, in terms of trying to learn our instruments a little bit better, try and get a little bit heavier. We got some good stuff, man. So we're still on the same course in terms of like heavy music, but we're in writing mode. Writing, like I said earlier, like this past year, we've been spending some time trying to promote the band, which is something we haven't really done in the past. And shit, dude, it takes a fuck ton of time, dude.
Yeah.
Like I said, you know, with the different media outlets and emails and things like that, and trying to contact people in the right way, you know, not just like go to MySpace or Facebook and just friend everybody. We're trying to kind of reach out and say, hey,
we're here, motherfuckers.
I think you might like our band. Check it out, you know. So it's kind of more of a thoughtful approach to trying to develop a fan base to share our music. But our next album is definitely on the path of something big, man.
Is there any time frame or not quite there yet?
Fuck. It's still probably a good 2 years out.
Right on. No, I always encourage bands to really take their time. You know, it's cool to release album after album if that's something you can do. But I prefer.
We got jobs, we got responsibilities, and we spend a lot of fucking time on our own, just, you know, pouring energy into music, you know. And sometimes you go through dry spells where you just go, fuck, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I can't even play my guitar or something.
Right.
And other times there's like a boom period, like I got all week, or someone has a song idea and we just kind of run with it. You know?
I hear you.
So it takes a long time to kind of like build a theme of an album and try and do things thoughtfully. You know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're making the music. You got to lay down each track. You have to promote the thing. You have to come up with the artwork. You have to come up with the lyric. Yeah.
It's a lot of work, dude. For free, motherfuckers.
No, I'm all about. That's another thing, and this is outside of what we had written down for questions. But piracy. When I was a kid, I was like, oh fuck it, I'll just download it. But as I grew older, it's like, no, they're providing a service. It's one thing to download something and test drive it. You know, if you don't like it, get rid of it. But if you like it, fucking support that shit.
Yeah, sure.
Ante up, motherfuckers. Come on.
There's a lot of ways you can get anything for free, man. Anything. And that's you hit on a point which is similar to my perspective, where if I come across music or something like that I like, and I listen to it more than 3-5 times, I'll probably buy the album. I don't really like buying one-off songs, you know, like from here and there, because I kind of enjoy going through the song list and seeing what the whole album kind of provides, because it's hard for a band to build an album that has like a common theme throughout it. And I kind of like to to look into if a band can do that or not. You know?
Yeah. I'm not interested in one-hit wonders.
Yeah,
I mean, not as interested, anyway.
They're mostly one-hit wonders, but the guys that can do that whole theme and have a good album, like the 8-10 songs or however many fucking songs, they'll be around for a while, man. And I'll be a fan, and I'll buy the album, and I'll buy the next one.
And with all that said, where are the most important places people can go and visit to get the lowdown on Border Wars?
Borderwars1, .com, and Facebook. You know, we're on Facebook quite a bit. I think the entire fucking planet is.
Yeah.
So, we participate in that media quite a bit. If you have a question or something, dude, we'll answer you, because we're just like you, man. We get up, we go to work, we play music, we love music, and we like to communicate with people.
Sure. And I'll get you. I'll definitely post the Facebook page and the website there in the MetalGate band group.
Right on, man.
And yeah, just to wrap it up here, I appreciate you coming on, Toolio. I talked to Vince and got all this hooked up through Facebook, so there's proof fucking right there.
There you go. It works.
Yes, it does. Maybe sometime we could do this something again, maybe just to hang out. I mean, me and my buddy Jim, we usually just, we'll pull up some fucking ridiculous news and shit all over it and have a good time doing it. So
yeah, well, I have a big mouth here and there, so yeah, I'd love to hang out, man. I was expecting Jim to be here, actually.
Yeah. He's kind of planning out our podcast that we're going to do right after this. So
all right, cool.
Yeah, definitely appreciate your time, man, and thanks for coming on.
All right, man.
Yeah, take it easy.